Can you edit this?
Yeah. Danny Smith, thanks for spending some time with TalkToDrivers.com.
Sure.
Danny, how did you get your start in racing?
My dad raced super modifieds and sprint cars, and he dabbled around a little bit of ARCA back in the 60s, so I was kind of born into it. My dad had a speed shop in the late 60s, so I kind of worked that. We serviced all the local tracks around here, and kind of born into it. It's in my blood.
You have over 200 wins. Which ones stand out to you and why?
Well, my Brad Doty wins are pretty special because he's a good friend, and of course everybody knows he got severely injured in a sprint car, so those two Brad Doty wins are pretty special. And the last World of Outlaw win a couple of years ago at Lawrenceburg, that was pretty special, being I hadn't won one for a long time. And Lawrenceburg's kind of one of my home tracks. That's where I won my first race and won my first track championship, so that was real special.
Do you have a favorite racetrack?
I used to. Eldora used to be my favorite, but it's so demanding anymore. It's really stressful to go there, trying to get your car right and drive it right. But KC in Ohio, one of my favorite tracks, and of course Bloomington, Paragon, where I grew up, Lawrenceburg racing, they're all favorites of mine.
Why don't you run without a wing anymore?
Chasing the money. All the big money shows seem like they're wing shows. So, and being a car owner, it's really tough to make ends meet. And if they raced locally here in Indiana for $3,000 and $4,000, $5,000 a win every week, like we do with the wing, a guy could stick around home more often. But they just don't race enough for the big money here. And, of course, the older I'm getting, it's good to have that cushion over your head now and then when you tip it over.
Of the old school drivers, who would you like to compete against? Name at least three.
Oh, can't count out Steve Kinser. Every time you beat him, that's quite an accomplishment. Old school drivers. There's not many old school drivers left. What I consider old school, but Steve.
Well, so these guys can be from like from the '60s and the
Yeah, I always enjoyed racing with Steve's dad, Bob. We've had a lot of races, especially Kokomo. It seemed like every Sunday night, me and Big Bob were up there duking it out for the win there in the late '70s. He was a lot of fun to race against. He was always clean, and I don't think he ever ran into me. I probably ran into him a couple times when I was young, but Steve and Bob, of course, Dick Gaines, Butch Wilkerson when I started, all the friends of my dad, the guys I grew up watching race, were always fun to race with.
Are you frustrated about losing out on the All-Star Drivers Championship?
Yeah, a little bit frustrating. On the night it was real frustrating. 2 lousy points. That's, might as well have been 100. You would have felt better about running second. But 2 points was, a little bit frustrating. But I've had a lot worse things happen to me, and we did win the owners part of it, so that kind of made up for a little bit. But yeah, it was pretty frustrating.
What is your most embarrassing, amusing moments in racing?
Probably the most embarrassing would have been at Wichita Speedway in Kansas. Fortunately, there was nobody there but maybe 2 or 3 people in the grandstand. We were testing for Laverne Nance, and we were out there on a Monday morning, and out there by myself, slid off the edge of the track, kind of hit a drainage ditch and turned it over. So that was pretty embarrassing, but fortunately not a lot of people there to see it.
How good was Jan Opperman?
He was he's a true outlaw. He was good. I got to watch him a lot when I was a kid. The race he won at Eldora when he pulled in from Pennsylvania racing the night before at Williams Grove or Sealands Grove, one of those. Took the wing off and spanked the USAC boys in the middle 70s there at Eldora.
The race that changed the world?
Yeah, I don't know if it changed the world, but it sure changed USAC's outlook on the outlaw guys. That's before the outlaws ever started. That was the one where you got the bloody nose and the blood was running down. And me being an outlaw racer, so to speak, then I was cheering for him because just a weekly racer come in and beat the Champagne boys, the USAC. They all had the cars all shiny, and Opperman rolls in this old tank and all beat up. It still had mud on it from the night before, and he won that. That was really special. But I got to race with him a few times, not a lot, before he got hurt, and then a few times after he got hurt. I got to spend a lot of time with him before I started racing. Went to Devil's Bowl and watched him race, and some of the other than Eldora, some of the races. And he was always my hero. Then he got hired on to drive the Longhorn car in the late 70s, and I was real close with Bobby Hillin and Donnie Everett, who took care of him. So, you know, it's a thrill to watch him race, and just to get to race with him a few times was big. And of course, he went on to Indy and made it there. So he's a true racer, and I was just glad to know him.
How long do you want to run sprint cars?
As long as it's fun, as long as I'm competitive. The traveling, I've been traveling all my life, so that gets pretty old pretty quick, but that's part of doing it, especially running the Outlaw Tour. As long as I enjoy it, that's the main thing. I'll keep doing it until I can't climb in anymore, I guess.
What do you do for relaxation, non-racing related?
There's not much of that, it seems like. Anytime I got some time off, I'd enjoy the outdoors. I enjoy the water. Get to go boating and stuff like that's a lot of fun to me. Maybe grab a fishing pole and go fishing once in a while. But seems like those days are over. We just don't have any time to have fun anymore other than racing.
All right, Danny, thanks for spending some time with TalkToDrivers.com.
Okay, thanks for having me.